Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, 1 second. Give me 1 more second. I'll be right back. All right. Good morning. Good morning. I hope we had a good week.
Not bad. How is yours?
This is just setting up. Oh, is there a module one in here? Okay, you need a new folder. There it goes. So I'll go ahead and get started on this. Welcome to day two of our next class. We're going to start out with building our portfolio. We're gonna get it started, start building that out, and then as we do that, we're going to, get some hands-on with working within Nextdoor, doing some uh using the app router. So building out some pages, working on a shared layout, so the shared layout file, working on that, and then rendering data on in the server component, right? Because we've been doing a lot of stuff where we are rendering directly on the browser, and we are working with components in which that are using useState, useState and useEffect, which change or may change depending on how the client is interacting with the uh the application. So those are going to be some of the things we are going to cover today. And then I know you may or may not on Wednesday were following along when I started that little application. You can use that same application if you did start it. If not, we'll start a new one up today anyway. So it's going to be this NPX create next app at latest, and then you can name it portfolio, or you can do like your name dash portfolio, however you want to name it. Uh, and then let me go ahead and share this in the Slack. Or a thread. Yeah. So oh, let me definitely zoom that in. That'll be the MPX create next app at latest, telling it to use the latest version, and then to name it. I'm just gonna name mine portfolio. You can name yours portfolio. You can name it your name portfolio, however you want. And then it's gonna ask we want to do the recommended default, which is gonna be TypeScript, ESLint, no React compiler, Tailwind CSS, which is gonna then no source directory because we're using the app router. And then we'll go ahead and you can just hit yes on that one. Simplifies it. Here we're going to then we're gonna CD into our app. So our app name. And then from here, I'm going to actually bring that one up. Mm, so pull that right there. Mm, okay. Mm, so we have our
Okay, I'm having problems already.
okay, no worries. What's going on?
Okay.
Same.
Oh, okay, you are too.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure I put this in the right place, and it's not bringing up the. It kind of acted like it was doing it, but it's not. Um, it just doesn't quite look like yours, I guess. Um, and I got a feeling I've put this in the wrong place, but I'm not sure how to fix it, I guess.
Okay, let me see. You can if you want to share your screen, I can definitely
Yeah.
help you do that.
Okay. 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 So I did this in my actual terminal like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, because it kind of looked like maybe that's what we were doing. And like I've got some weird stuff like it never, I noticed like when I started this out, let's see, I put this in, it doesn't have like a module 5 thing. I wasn't sure if I should have, I don't know what I'm doing basically.
No, that's just so that was just the directory I am in because I'm doing this in the curriculum folder that so this is going to be like in our GitHub. So everything I do is going to be in that curriculum GitHub that we have that we share with you all. Uh,
Gotcha.
so that's all that is just the directory. So if you can see, let's see down if you where it says success on your screen
Yes.
and it says created portfolio at users Laura portfolio. So it's in your
Oh,
yeah, that's the directory that it's in. So that's where it ended up being.
okay. Okay. All right. So users. So basically, I'm just looking for like a LoRa folder then, and that's where it will be. Oops.
Yeah, which is usually like your let me see. Oh, it's going to be in the because the user do hold on, so we got the location. Let's do
Oh, okay. I think here it is, maybe.
yeah, there it goes.
Okay. Okay.
That one's a little yep, that's it. So
Okay.
if you hit the back button on that one,
Yes.
and then you can just do the like the little right click,
Uh-huh.
and then there is a oh maybe not. Uh, what does quick actions give you the option for if you just have
Um,
that?
let's see.
Oh, well, there we go. Services. That's what,
Okay.
and then you can do new terminal at folder. Or well,
Okay.
you already have the terminal open. We don't need. I forgot. Yeah, we already have the terminal open because you're already in there from when you just started the project. So if you want to go back to, so this is where it's at. But if you
Okay.
want to go back to that terminal,
Mhm. Okay.
okay, and then uh hit enter. Let's see what happens. It should. Then
There
okay,
it is.
then do the control and then C.
Okay.
Okay, now do the CD portfolio. Or are we already? Oh, we're already in there. Oh, okay, I see what happened. Create it. So somehow we ended because I can see it right there. All right. Yeah, because we're already in there, so you can see where it says the Laura at Laura MacBook Pro and then the portfolio. So we are in that portfolio directory already.
Hmm.
So try typing in the word code, CODE, and then a space and then a period. And then yeah, do that. Oh, we do not have that command set up. Okay, which is fine. Okay, let's go back to where the folder was for you.
Okay.
in Binder. We'll do and then let's see if you can right click it. These are just some. And then we would do go to services.
Okay. Services.
It did not give us that option. Okay, we're fine. So we can just open VS Code. I was trying to show the shortcut for doing it, but so normally there's like you'll see like a open with or if you're in the terminal, you
Uh-huh.
can type in that. If you type in that word code and then a space and a period, it usually opens the directory you're in like your preferred IDE, which we've
Oh,
been using VS Code, but for whatever reason, it's not set up for you. So
okay.
uh I can help get us set up on that a little bit later, just so you can have the option. Because it normally, like when you install something like VS Code, it normally configures it automatically, but for whatever reason, it did not.
So in that case, I should just open VS Code and get to it from there.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right, I will stop sharing in case Elizabeth needs to. Okay.
Mm,
Thank you very much.
of course.
I am opening VS Code as well because mine was doing the same thing.
Really
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
It says it created the portfolio, but it's just doing the exact same thing that Laura's was.
Huh. I wonder why that is actually. But it did you did see where it gave you the success and it created created portfolio at and then it gave you the
Yes.
directory. Okay. And Laura, were you able to get it open in VS Code?
Yes, thank you.
Of course. Use what? Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, now that we got that open, sure, yeah, go down here. What's that key to opening? Okay, now we remember we went on Wednesday we went over the app structure of a uh next project um where what you're typically going to see you're gonna have your page. So this is the default page that it comes standard with just like when we start up any other project. So let me go ahead and run it. All right. So this one is going to be at localhost 3000. That is going to be the default for next project. It's usually going to be at localhost 3000. Port 3000. Okay. All right, and then this is the default application. Yeah, the default landing page that it comes out with. It just tell you to get started, edit the page.tsx file. Uh, there's a lot of good resources. With Next that you have access to. Let me see. I know one of the things so to also be oriented. This is some of the material that we'll be referencing when we are learning a lot of with Next. Like I mentioned when we first started, a lot of the things we're going to be doing is going to be this okay. A lot of so that on this one they're building out an application. We're not going to be following along building out an application because there's no need for you to be building out two applications. I was going, but we'll be working on the um our portfolio. And for here, which so I'm gonna say, let me see. So, for here, we'll just go through, like, I'll give you like the sections that you'll be um looking at as well. Like I said, I think in this one they're building out an application. We're not gonna build out that application. You'll just go in here and just like really just look at the concepts, like the folder structure, something that we kind of already discussed, like how it's set up. Then but this one, like for instance, this one goes over some concepts that we necessarily we discuss because I mean we definitely discussed these, but they're just laying that out. Like this one to contain like the app is just going to contain everything regarding your actual app logic and all that, and then the lib is just going to contain like usually like functions that are more like utility like functions throughout the application, and the UI is gonna have, you know, UI components, like components that are specifically for the UI, right? Like if you're gonna have a card or if you're gonna have a button styled a certain way, these are where you're gonna keep those components so you can access them throughout. But um this is what we're gonna be. I'll give you some references to this type of stuff to these lessons as we go on go through and then for instance I think let me see, yeah, and here they're using PM. We're still going to be using npm um throughout, so this will be some things to keep in mind as I am giving like different things to reference. um and then let's see, I think yeah, I'm not, I know I might have did the getting started, but there are some things that I once class is done, I'll share our homework that we're gonna go through. But I just wanted to introduce you to what it kind of what this looks like. I'll give you the link and then you'll see it kind of has like a little weird navigation. But the app router, it's the whole thing is only 15 chapters. This is what we're gonna be mainly working on. Uh, but the Next.js org is also just in general. Like if there's any concepts, if you just want to go to the docs, if there's any concepts, you want to make sure that you're using the app router. This is the page router, which we I mentioned in the Wednesday class, which is the original way that it was built out, and then they moved to using the app router. And then like so if there's anything that we discuss and you just want to like to look into it a little bit more, see, you know, Um, next is direct um explanation of some of these things. Then you can look at it here as well. Some of the things that uh let's see. I know some of these things that I'll be linking directly as the homework as well, but like they have more what's it? Yeah, in-depth things because like I said, Next is a really good framework. It comes with a lot of really good tools that you can use to just natively in your application. But like I said, it can get a little clunky, a little bulky. So a lot of people aren't always like just not even a lot of people, but Next just isn't always the best option depending on what type of application you're building because it can be clunky and bulky by default. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that's something you want to keep in mind anytime you're starting a new project. Making sure like whatever framework or language that you're using is the best tool for your goal. So that's something you want to explore as well every time. All right. So I just want to go over that real quick. Any questions about Next in general? No? Okay. All right. So this is that homepage that we were just looking at. Um, it's pulling that in. Uh, it also just like V, it has its own. It came with its like own CSS setup. So this is the page. Remember, this is the how it is using its own router system. This is in the app folder, and then we have that page.txs, which tells it this is the home page, that index file, uh, which we're not using in that index term. We're using just page here. So you'll hear index kind of used um to reference the home page sometimes. So if you hear me say index, I'm using that like and to reference the home page essentially. Okay. So here we can let me see. Yeah, we got all this. We can get rid of you can oh, it's doing it. All right, when it there. We can get rid of all these and clean this up. And we just leave. We just have a div. And let me know if at any point you have a hard time like seeing any of the text or anything on my screen and I'll make it bigger. Okay, cool. So then we see here we got now we have a empty page because we got rid of everything. It's black because it's configured within our global CSS, which at some point we will be changing as well. It's black because my system is dark. It prefers dark. So that's what that at media is. It just prefers color scheme dark. So it's just picking it up just in case you were curious. That's why it's black by default in this instance. Um then we have our layout file, which here um here it is a pulling in the metadata, which is going to be telling the browser, giving it information basically about the page that it's on. Import, these are just fonts, so these importing the fonts directly from Google. You see it says next font Google. So it comes built in with some fonts that you can access. And then it's declaring those fonts here. Um, it's setting up that metadata. And then for the layout, it's just doing the export default function, root layout, and then so it's passing this children prop with the read only children um React node, and then it's just setting up the layout, right? So it's doing that HTML, and then it just configure does some, well, here in the class name it's doing um the fonts, is declaring of the fonts in here, and then just telling it the full screen. So it's making sure that it's taking this HTML tag is taking up the full screen, because sometimes if you don't declare that, you can have some issues, and it won't take up the full screen by default. In there we got our body, which our body is going to consist of our children, right? So this is our root layout. So any component that any page that we render from here is going to be our child in this layout. So it's going to render in this body. And then so if you having any issues from like within your body, you're not necessarily sure, it's good practice. Get used to checking out the layout file. Pretty much any layout file that you may have, but especially the root layout as well, because if you like, for instance, we have these fonts declared, like these fonts are going to be passed down to the children. So there's going to be the fonts that are going to be used by default unless we declare another font. And then just any styling that we might have that we're passing through the body might affect our children as well. So you want to keep your layout in consideration when you are like troubleshooting UI issues. All right. But now that we got that, okay. All right. So we've been, yeah, kind of what we did. And then so if you remember, we would add a new folder in here. That will become a new route. So when you hear route, or when you hear like a router in regards to a um React application. So when you hear router, you want to be thinking of a tool that's going to be routing your application, like how your application is routed from the address bar. So when you hear a route, you're going to be thinking like the address bar, like your path, right? So it's gonna be the slash, the day two or slash about or slash or whatever it may be after the the base path, which is going to be in this case this one. But your base path is usually gonna be something like the oh, if I knew how to type, but like the yeah, for like instance, well, this would you'd have typically your base path is going to be this URL here, and then the routing's usually going to be referencing like what's coming after that, right? So uh which could be meals or about or contact us or anything like that. So that's when you hear that you want to think, your URL, all that good stuff. So uh it's just a a good um muscle memory to have, I guess you can kind of say to have in regards to that. Just so I know if you hear routing, it kind of gets confusing like what we're talking about. Oh, when we're still getting used to that. So, but I just want to let you know, like if you hear routing, think your URL, your path, all that stuff. Oh, okay, but yeah. Oh, yeah, and then let me go let's see. Making sure there's nothing I wanted to discuss before we moved on. We kind of did go over um okay, it's fine. Yep. We're using okay, and then similar to when we did React, we're gonna be using Tailwind throughout this project. Or when we set up the project, we had to use Tailwind by default. Okay. But I think that's it for now. Uh oh, I did want to show the metadata. Um, so you can see here it's saying the create next app, and then that's where this is coming from. So it's a create next app. This description is usually going to be used. So like for instance, if your site is being turned up in Google results, it's going to use this description to like kind of, identify what the application is for. So you usually want to include a good description here to make it more Google friendly. But if we were to change the metadata here, and then this would be the same. So so this is being used in layout. So it's gonna be the default for any of so as we route through any part of the application, it's gonna have that same thing. But for instance, if we were to change it to, ooh, if I could spell my own name. And then you see it changes up here as well. And there's the portfolio. And then you could have your description. It would be just a good description of what your application is about, right? Or um, like if this is your homepage, you want to be a description about what your overall application is. If it's a particular page like the about, then you could include the description about the about page or your, if it's like your projects, all that, etc. So, and then you can make that whatever you want. Perfect. Any questions about that so far? No. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So let me see. What was the okay? So yeah, we got rid of the basic now I can't even think of the word. Yeah, the basic template code that Next came here starts with. So we can just add add a little bit of our own code to here. So we go to the page, and then we can do so you can just do your name. So basic header and then just and then a p tag. And then eventually you be able to style it however you want, but for now you could just do like a text center, get it centered. Well, let's see. Actually, we'll put that on the div that way. We don't have to do it for the key in the H1 tag. And that's just getting started. Obviously, be able to do it however we want. Just have some on our page, our homepage. And then let me know. Feel free, let me know if I need to slow down or anything like that. And then almost see. Okay. So we got that. All right. So the next thing is if you remember we're going to create a new page, which is going to be done by using the built-in Next.js router, which is going to be just adding a new folder and a page.txx. And then also keep in mind, like I said, this is going to be your portfolio, your application. So however you want to set it up, just because we add a particular page doesn't mean you have to keep that particular page. You can repurpose it. So like for instance, for this one, we're going to be doing like an about page. You typically may see, there's all kinds of different portfolio setups. You typically may see you'll see you might see like an about page where they discuss, about themselves. And they might also have then a projects page where they just list their projects, right? There's no like right or wrong way per se to do your portfolio page, your portfolio website in general. A lot of times just having one and just, um sharing your skill sets and all that good stuff um is extremely good, and it it can set you apart from other people as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. So with this one, like I said, we're gonna add a new so an app. We're gonna add a new one, and this one we're just gonna call it about, and then to create the page itself. Because if we go here and then we do about, we get an error 404. This page cannot be found. So we can have folders. We can still have folders, and it's even possible you can have a folder. For instance, though about doesn't have a page, but we can even put uh me. We'll just call this one me, and then put page.txx. Yeah, and then let's say uh, to be fast. So just to really demonstrate real quick. I spell it right? Yeah. Okay. So okay. So I have the about directory and folder, and in that folder I put a me folder and then put the page.txx inside the me. So at the about level, there is still no page. Let me see. But then if we go into me, now we see the about me. So you can even, and then it still uses the about as a part of the path, right? So we have the about, then me. Um, so that's something to consider because we might have multiple. We might want to include multiple um routes inside of the about, but we necessarily don't want a page for the about part of the path. So there are different use cases where you might see that. There's also a way where we could put it in this folder, put it in a folder without what's the word? Having the about part of the path, right? So if we wanted to do where it would be the, do I show you with the where it's just a me? We still get the error 404. Well, almost see. But I want to say if we put it in, I always get this one a little bit confused. So I might, let's see. There it goes. Yeah. So you see, we put it in parentheses. Um, I forget the term for it, but if you put it in parentheses, right, it's just another directory, right? So we put about in parentheses, and now we're accessing the me directly without the about in the URL. But we'll be doing a little bit more of that later on as we go down, but that's just so you can see it. But we'll go back, we'll get rid of this. We'll do it like this. So I moved page into uh the about, and yeah, I moved the page.txx into the about folder. And then now we got uh so yeah, we create our about directory, put the page.txx, and now we'll have our um about page rendering. Are we good? Any questions so far? Okay, perfect. Cool, perfect. Perfect, perfect.
I um don't see my about me. I don't see that on my. I'm wondering what it is you're looking at that lets you see the about me on your site. Let's see. Oh,
Are you
about. Oh God, Laura, really? Okay, let's see.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I changed it up quite a few times, but I was trying to give you an example of like how the routing works. It was kind of demonstrating how easy it is, but you just gotta yeah, it's easy to change, so when you do change it.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. You can see it now.
I still can't, but I think I understand what the
You-
what you're doing. What the
Yes.
issue is, I think.
Yeah, it's just a new about folder, and then in that folder, the page.txx is in that folder, in the about folder, and then that's how it's being rendered.
So should I get rid of that me folder then, probably?
Yes, you can go ahead
Okay.
and do that. Yeah, I just wanted to show the different ways you can how it's how it would show your path, and you can nest other folders in the folder to generate your URL, your path.
Okay, I'm still getting an error, interestingly enough. It says that the default export is not a React component in about slash page, rather than like a 404 error.
Did you, is it the name capitalized?
Uh, no.
The function name?
Oh,
Y-
let me see.
You can also share your screen.
All right, let's see if I can, um, come on now. Oh, function me. Oh, I'm golly.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I
I didn't change it from me yet.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, this is the
Okay. Let me, if it's okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. It may be more efficient if I do that.
perfectly fine.
Okay.
Oh, mine's there it goes.
Okay. So what I'm getting, when I try and I'm getting that, which is curious.
I think
Uh
her page is
oh
under something different. Go back to your VS Code.
Okay.
It's down at the bottom under app versus being in the about folder.
Oh, okay.
uh, well, so let me go to your about folder. So let's see.
Oh, I'm going to the wrong
Oh,
page. Oh, is that what I'm doing? I have
Okay.
two done the same with the same name.
Oh, your page.txx. So yeah, your page.txx doesn't have any code in it. I
Oh,
see. Yeah.
okay. So I should have put this in here. Is that right?
You would still have, so that's your home level. That's your home page, right? Because that's
This
in the,
is.
yeah. This is the
Okay.
home page. This is which is this is perfectly normal to get confused about because going from managing all your routes in a file to your routes being managed by the folder structure itself, it gets a little confusing because now you got to pay more attention. You're going to see a lot of pages, page.txx's, and they're going to be going to different levels. So it gets a little confusing. The trick, a nice little trick, if you see where the app is, in the directory, you see how it has that little line
Hmm.
you can kind of use it. It helps. It still gets a little confusing, but it helps sometimes. So you have that. That's at your app level. That's your app level page, and that's your home page, right?
Oh, okay.
So and then one way that can be useful is for like, I'll get there. I'll get there. So then you go back to your about page. Yep, and then your page.txx. And it's empty. So we're getting that error because it's empty. But that's why it's saying it's getting even though we just went to forward slash about, it's pulling that pay about slash page error is because it's expecting code here. So you want to do the function here. You can even uh it'd be the what was it? The export default function, and then you can just do about.
Like it would be basically the same thing as here, except for putting like about information in there. Is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, how you have the export default function, home, all that good stuff. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And then you change the name from home.
This darn thing is in the way. Okay. I'm going to maybe stop sharing just so I can see what I'm
Oh,
doing.
gotcha. Yep.
Okay.
But you should see the the function, the component you just copied. You should see
Uh-huh.
them being rendered now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Yep, I do. I do.
Yep, and then all you have to do is just change it to be the home stuff.
Okay. Thank you so very much, both of you.
Of course. That is what I am here for. Okay, let me go ahead and mm, 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 mm. And then like I said, from this point forward, don't worry. Um, I want you to follow along to get the hands on, but don't worry about it being the exact same. That's why I'm doing like the portfolio because there's gonna be things where like you see me putting my name, you're gonna put your name. So as we're going along, it's more about just getting that hands-on experience. We're working with these things. Don't worry about it being like um exact copy of what I'm doing. Just like, getting used to that process part, right? Um like getting that experience with doing a new folder and then adding a ph.txx in it just so you can get oriented because it is confusing to have a page and then in another folder have a page and then if you see it especially like just like on a regular like on a laptop screen for instance if you see that it's real easy to get mixed up and then well, next thing you know, you see I have two page components right here. Next thing you know, I might have like five different page components, right? And you be like, wait, which one am I working on? Another thing is like you see here, it has like if you hover over it, it'll pull up the full route for it. And then also you see it has this about, it tells like the parent directory that it's in. So this one's the app. So you can use that kind of like as little hints to try and keep track of it. But that's nothing that you're just gonna be used to right off the bat, right? It takes muscle memory working with this stuff for a little bit, being in these type of projects for any amount of time, right? To get used to that stuff. Because I remember, working a project and then getting lost in different pages and being working on a page when I thought I was in another page or even starting a page in the wrong route, right? Working on starting it in the wrong folder and then working on it and then going and not realizing it until I go to that route thinking that I had put it in another route. So it's just something that you get used to as you go along. So just part of the process. But any questions or anything about the routing, anything like that? Okay. So, and it's also important, we want to make sure we are exporting that function because even though we're not going in and explicitly calling this function, next is looking for that page.txx and it for security purposes, that function has to be exported in order for it to access it. So you might get a similar error even if you do create the function if you forget to export it, um, that will also give you an issue as well. Okay. So we did the about, and I told you like sometimes for a portfolio, you typically see like an about and a projects page. So just for an exercise, we'll go ahead and I'll have you add another page, which is going to be the projects page. So you're gonna add a projects folder, and then you're gonna add the page.txx to that folder, and then you're just gonna do some basic startup code. And you want to make sure that project, we already did the about, you're just gonna do the projects one, and then you want to make sure that works. And then the initial code doesn't have to be anything special or anything like that. Just any basic um initial code for that. And I think we'll do, I think 20 minutes should give us enough time to work on that. Um, just in case we have any issues or need any help as well. So we can be, yeah. We'll get back on track at like 11:35. All right, and if you have any questions whatsoever, I'll be right here. Just let me know. Everything good? Perfect. We have any issues?
Not over here.
So far, going all right.
Perfect, perfect. All right. Any questions about adding a route so far? Any issues or anything like that? That you anything what's the word? Confusing or that you're not sure about that you ran into while you setting it up and might need some help with, or just need help understanding or just want to understand. That's what we're here for as well.
I guess one thing I was trying to so I set up my page within my projects and I
Mhm.
was trying to, say something, start talking about my projects,
Mhm.
and I couldn't figure out how to do that and make it I, I just couldn't figure out how to do that, I guess. So, and it has something to do with the function I know. And I think part of this is like just me needing to sort of refresh myself or whatever, but um that I guess that's what I was, and I'm not necessarily wanting to figure that out right now, but that was just something that I was struggling with.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it having, like knowing what direction to go, especially when you're just starting up a new project, kind of like a hard thing to get used to. because you have the knowledge of all these tools, but sometimes just recalling them is the hard part. Because, like I said, a lot of coding is just like a lot of like muscle memory. So it's just being able to remember these things, and when you come up to a problem, there's some things as you get more used to it, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I know, like even before you even fully know what the problem is, you already have like an idea of what tool you're gonna be using, right? Like what method you're gonna be using, all that stuff. So that is something we are gonna address. We're gonna address today actually, is how we're gonna do the project, and then I would say like it's like if you're thinking like of in general like a collection of things or anything like that, then the modern standard today is usually you're probably going to be for like like for something like this you could do um what order do I want to say this in? Uh Basically think I would just say in general like a database, right? Think of it as a database. Like that's something you're going to want to access, then you're going to want to create a database for it. It doesn't have to be like a full-fledged database, right? It can be like a local database that you set up yourself, which might be just just like a file that has like an array of objects, right? That could be your database. One of the tricks that makes coding a little bit easier is like attributing things to different what was it attributing methods like to different variations, right? So in this context, when I say database, it could mean a full-fledged database, like when we worked with Superbase, right?
Mhm.
Or if you get used to being like, okay, a database can also be just like a file, and it could be like a little simple database that I create, right? That you set up, and it might be a database that you have to update manually, or it might be a database that updates when you make a call to it or something, right? So being able to attribute like being getting used to and comfortable calling different things like that databases also helps you get into that development mindset, because when you break things down to how you use them, like name them, like when you call things how you use them, then it makes finding the solution easier. Because then like if you say I need a database would be good for this, well, what's a version of a database that I could use that's easy to implement right now, or that's going to be perfect for my solution for the lifetime of the solution, right? So like um for for our I know for like our portfolios eventually we're going to do a super base. We're going to do yeah, we're going to set up super base with it just so we can have some experience um working with a database with Next.js, so you can get experience working with those server functions. But and for you like your particular use case, just having a array of objects, and then how we did uh in React, mapping through that array of objects and then rendering your projects based on that is a good solution to go. Just like how we did with our mills when we went through our mills, when we before we started using the API, had those array of mills, and then we would just map through, and for each item we would do the same thing through each item using our map function. So that would be the same way. I know that was a long-winded way to answer your question, but like I said, I'm trying to instill, you know, the way to get to solutions versus the actual solution themselves. So I want you just to be like, the developer minded in those regards. So being able to, find like different ways to get to like similar solutions, right? Maybe the same solution, or uh solutions that are, because a lot of times there's no one just perfect solution. A lot of times there are, but then, a lot of times there's just, it's whatever works best for you at that time, or whatever's going to work best for you in the long run, for your project, for what you need. So, um, but in this particular case, yeah, you could hard code your projects, right? And do it that way, but then every time you add a project, update a project, then it's gonna be very tedious. So, but yeah, so I think let me see, because that might be okay. No, we're gonna talk about links first, because I know, like I said, we're gonna have right here. So the project data, uh, like I said, we mentioned that live file. We are going to have. So this is just an array of projects. For this one, it has like the ID, the title. I don't know. Uh, this was just this isn't an accurate description, but this is just like an example of what it would be, right? Our recipe app, right? And then uh module for app is a good description for your portfolio. But that's just saying, just for our cases, saying that what we worked on. And then I know uh for just all the different apps that we worked through as we were coming up uh through the different modules. So we will definitely get there. But any questions about that in general? Any other question? I know you had about the project. So how do we do the projects? But do you have any questions about like anything I said, or did that answer your question to begin with? Okay. Okay. Perfect. We're good. We go ahead and move on to the next item, which is and then I know, like I said, I didn't give any homework before this. I know this is our first time working with these things. Uh so um take the extra time to get familiar with them. If you have any questions with them, feel like I said, if you feel like I'm moving too fast, just let me know. If you need me to, even if you just need me to slow down, just tell me slow down, which is fine. Um but the next thing we're gonna be working with is we're gonna be doing the working on the layout with the nav links, right? So I told you we were gonna have those pages, but now we need a way to access those pages from not only the home page, but also any page that we might be on the site. So the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna add a nav menu to our home page, not our home page, to our layout. And then the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna be introducing a new, or yeah, one of the tools or features that Next provides, which is their link component. So they have their built-in link component, which is uh basically a simple way to navigate to our different routes, our different pages. So in this example, you can see this is the that route layout that we seen with our uh layout in our route app. If you go in here, they added the nav element, the nav element, which is the um native nav element with HTML. So it's built in with HTML. And then here we're using that link component. So you're passing that uh the the href um property, and then here in this instance, just the forward slash is going to represent home. So you see it doesn't, it just takes our basic routes. So our folder, so we know If we type in the / about, it should take us to our about page, and the / project should take us to our project page. And the link, you just like a element, you're gonna have the opening tag, which is gonna have that href property. Then you're gonna have your text and then the closing tag. So we'll go ahead and get that set up. So from here, we're gonna go to under our app. So following our app, we're gonna go to our layout.txx file. And then, so we have our children. We can still see my screen, okay? Okay, perfect. So, and just above our children, because we want we want the nav layout to be at the top of our page every time. So above our children, we are going to put our nav. And then, so we want to import, we're going to be using our link. So we want to import the link. Oops. At the top of the page, we're going to put import link. And then it may, well, it should give the IntelliSense, and you should see the one that says next/link. You can just click on that and it's going to finish the import for you. If not, you're going to import link from next /link. Then we got our import. So then we're going to now use our link component. And then we're going to do the href. I don't want that. And then the / by itself to represent the home page. And then I will tell you can, if you so choose, or you can type it out again. You can copy and then paste it, because we're gonna need one for the about and then the project. You can paste it, and then you can do about, then about for the text, and then we can do project. You just want to make sure that the href is typed exactly like your folder name is. Then it looks a little messy, but you see the home, about, and then the projects just all bunched up. So this is the children, this is the projects page, and then this is our little nav menu. But if we click on it, it takes us to the About Me page, and then this should take us to the home page. And we click on home. So that's with no styling. And I just wanted to show you that real quick. And then you see it's changing our route. And that's from here. How are we doing with that? Yeah. Any questions about linking so
I
far?
have an error on mine,
Okay.
and I'm
What's it?
not sure why. Hold
What
on, let
is
me see.
saying?
So it is giving me a link is a void element tag and must neither have children nor use dangerous set inner HTML. And I have no idea where that would be at.
It could be because there is somehow a link nested inside a link, possibly.
Okay.
We probably skipped a closing tag and then put it somewhere else, possibly.
I probably should share my screen.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where I'm at with, oops, sorry. This is the top where I added the next link. And then,
Go back to the top real quick. I'm sorry. Okay, yep, the next link. Okay. Oh, it's because they need to be capitalized because they're components.
okay,
The
for the
yeah,
link part.
yes. They're components, so they need to be have that C for them to be registered.
Okay.
Hold on, let me find. I keep telling you. Let me see if I can find it. While you update those, I am going to see. There it goes. I think it is that one. Okay. So a useful tag, or extension,
Mm-hmm.
uh, for these type of situations, because you might, you might um, do this without like thinking about it. But the auto rename tag is a good extension to add to VS Code. Because if you notice, like when I update like a div, it it updates the corresponding, like I say a div, element, but like a div for existing, if I change a div to a H1 tag, you might notice that it'll, instead of just me having to go and do both, I only have to update one. And it's because if you look at the screen, it's called this extension called auto rename tag. So what it does is it finds the next, it finds that corresponding pair, the closing tag for that tag that you're editing, and then it auto just renames it. So you only have to update them once instead of having to go update that one and go find the other one and update it. There's a lot of cool extensions like that. Yeah, but if you see, let me see.
Okay, it is installed now.
Yeah, so there it goes.
All right, mine
Mm,
is fixed.
perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, da. Okay, that one's fixed. All right, so it's working now. Let me get over here because it's making it. There it goes. Cool. All right, so yours is showing as expected now, and then you tested the links and they're working.
Yes, they are working.
Perfect. Okay. Like I said, they're not pretty right now, but hey, they work. Uh, right. So now that we got that, what thing? So, you notice that as we changed the page, the um the nav menu didn't change, and then it rendered, like I said, which is the children. Those pages are the children, are being considered the children. So the pages themselves. So keep in mind as you edit, uh, let me see, yeah, as you edit, like a full page or anything like that, if it's part of this layout, remember the full page is going to be the children, right? So, that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. If you're going to be, like it's as you style that page and including, components and anything else to that page, you want to keep in mind like the other elements of that layout itself and how it's going to affect that page. Because, for instance, if you do want a particular page to take up uh, the full page, and you don't want there to be the nav menu, then you want to plan for that, right? So that's either going to be uh by overriding this layout, or by yeah, overriding this layout, or by working around that nav menu, right? Or so that's just something to keep in mind as you are working uh within your layout. And because sometimes you also might make a change that might spill over, right? There might be a change where it um works for the most part with your application, but then the way one page is rendering, it conflicts with how your layout is working. So if you have like layout issues, sometimes you might want to expect how um the code is interacting with a particular layout. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But then we can go ahead and we can add uh w- we already have the flex because the flex is being inherited from the parent. So we can do the gap 4, but we can also, oops, wrong. We can also explicitly do the flex. So just in case for whatever reason anything changes, we know that the nav menu itself is going to have have that flex. So we'll do flex and then we'll do the gap 4. And it should make it just look a little better. Yep. So we'll explicitly call it flex, even though we seen that it was in a flex. If anything changes, so if there was something that changed our body, we would still have this nav menu explicitly calling it just so we didn't have any issues. There was something else I wanted to say before we went online, but it's fine. Okay. There was something else I wanted to say. But it's okay. Okay. Fine. This will be our stopping point for now. Uh, oh, I did. Let me see. Okay. So I do want to say so real quick, the link um is going to be doing so it's for like client side navigation, right? Um so I know, let me see. There it goes. So what's happening here is technically, so you see it's like loading these pages, but it's not necessarily um what's the word? Re-rendering. It's not re-rendering the full page, it's just rendering that particular part of the page, right? So if we were to have like a specific um if these were links to like specific components, so that's another advantage of it is like these were links to load like there's like a layout inside of a layout and we wanted to load like a specific component. Every time we clicked a different link, it was a different component. Instead of the full page re-rendering, only that particular component will render and show up. So that's one of the advantages of using the links in that way, because you get that ability to be able to only rendered what needs to be rendered instead of like the full page every time. So this nav menu isn't being re-rendered, and then so it's still still kind of acting like has some of that single page application um features to it. Like it's still working like a single page application in some regard. Um, but these things are being rendered on the server and then it's being served to us because we are using server components. All right. But any questions before we break for lunch? Nope. Okay. So we'll go ahead and break for lunch. I think we'll be good to come back at uh we'll do 12 12:30. We'll do 12:30 and then once we come back we'll go ahead and then we'll start working on the next thing, which is going to be bringing just setting up our project data and then going from there. All right. All right. See you then. Thank you. Bye bye. Well, not bye, baby, but have a good lunch. All right. 12:30. We'll go ahead and just uh jump right into it. Man, all right. So, uh, as mentioned earlier, we can go ahead and then so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder, which is going to be the lib folder, and in there we're going to add our projects.ts file, uh, which is going to have our interface, which is going to be a project, of course, which is going to represent an object with the ID, title, description. You'll be able to set this up however you want. This is a good practice for if you doing things this way. If you are going to be, for instance, doing this portfolio, you don't necessarily know how you're going to structure your uh portfolio data just yet on it might be that you do the ID, the title, the description, but you might also decide you want to add things like what was it? Like the stack, right? Like the tool stack, like what you use. What was it built with? Like React, you just want to list them out individually, which right, it might be an array. Or however, whatever else you decide you want to include, or you might decide you want to include uh an image. So something for an image. These are some things that you can do. Oh yeah, this is just a placeholder, but you can take it wherever you end up going with it, however you want to set it up. This is just like an example to get it started, right? Like I said, we are going to be setting up a database for this. We already used Superbase before, so we're just going to stick with Superbase. We're going to add Superbase, but we're also going to be introducing uh Prism, which is uh which is used to manage um what's the word I'm looking for? Prism is a tool that we use to we use for working with our databases. You'll see it used a lot in with Next. It's a really good tool. Um, it is a what was it called? A ORM, which is I always forget the M, but let me see. It's an object relation. Let me see. Yeah, Prisma. I said Prism. Prisma. Object mapper. That's the word. Mapper. It's an object relational mapper. So it's just a really good way to map your application with the your database so that way you can effectively communicate with your database, right? And do set up queries, and then it essentially, you know, another way to think about it is like kind of almost like a typing system for your database. It's telling your application, what to expect, what we're going to be expecting from this application, and all that fun stuff. So that is something we are going to be working with in the future. But for now, we're gonna start with this. So we're just gonna do the ID, the title, and the description. So in here in the app, we're gonna add a new folder. We're gonna have a lib folder, and then that's where we're gonna do our projects. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So then we're gonna do project dot TypeScript, and then here we're gonna have that interface. Oh, then we're gonna do projects. Oh my goodness, if I could talk. Let me see, what do we do? I put, uh, I do title. Oh, so I ID, title, and then description. So we'll keep the same. Mm, good. Oh, well, you can't do a default. We'll do. Gonna be projects. Oh, wait. Nope. Capitalize that. And then we want it to be an array. Um, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So we got the ID because in this instance, normally if we were gonna be hard coding it, we probably wouldn't necessarily need an ID. It'd probably be good for identifying the projects, but usually you'd be able to do that with like just the title in your project, or if you just wanted to make it easier, like if you just wanted to make it easier to like grab a particular odd project by ID or something, that'd be a good thing. But we're doing this because we do plan on doing it by getting getting it from a database, which is typically we're gonna include ID in there to make it easier to pull it from the database, to grab it, and um to access it, I should say. So in this instance we can even do, cause we have the title and description. Okay. It's airing out probably because we haven't gotten everything yet. Oh, I put in string. Oops. There it goes. Right. And now we're gonna go. So now, because we're using TypeScript, it's telling us what we're missing. We're missing our project. I mean, yeah, project title and a description. So, mm, did, for this one, what was, oh, Oh, I'm gonna say we're gonna do. For an example, and I think what do we? I think we had what? We did a little. Man, I forgot the apps we did. What did we do earlier? We did a. It wasn't a little coffee app, wasn't it? It was a. No, we had a little. We did have a card involved.
Expense tracker?
Expense tracker. Yeah, we had our expense tracker app.
And then we also did a wiki page.
Yes, that one. Uh-oh. Why are you fighting with me? I want to do option. Yes. So normally you would like a description, you would include um you want to showcase like what you built. Like we'll get a little bit more in depth with this as we go on, but you want to showcase like when you used built an application, what skill set did you use to build that application, right? Um so you want to like if there was any particular complex problems that you solved, if you um used an AP if you use APIs, fetch if your application relied on APIs, the text that you use, like if you use a if it was a React application or JavaScript, or you know, if it was JavaScript, what tools did you use to make the Java to present that application? What framework did you use? Any ancillary tools you use like the database like if you use Superbase, just anything, like any necessary skills that you use, and then any particular skill sets that you presented with the application, right? Like if you solved a particular problem and used a special skill set to do so or whatever, anything like that. You just want to basically, you're just showing off, right? You want to show off anything that you did. If there's anything particular that you did with that application that stands out, you want to make sure you notate that so that because you never know who's looking at your portfolio. So when you share, you're not never sure what they're looking for, especially so they might just look at the overview of all your projects and they just want to see, they'll look at, they might not go into your project per se, but they may look at all your projects and say, oh, okay, cool, like this is what they worked on. Or they might go drill into your project, and if you mentioned like a particular feature that you worked on with that project, instead of them having to go through and, you know, try to, because they might not have the time to go through and hit every single page of your project, right? But if you say, hey, I did this cool thing, they'll be like, okay, I want to see this thing in action. They can go to that particular feature of your project and explore it themselves. Or they might want to see, like, they might want to see, how you work with API. They might want to see how the data is being pulled, how you're using that data, all that stuff. So they might just go to the page that's pulling that data and see, okay, they pulled this from this API and they're using it in this way. So that's kind of one of the things. That's kind of some of the things you want to touch on when you are, uh, you know, presenting your portfolio. That's uh, some of the things you want to keep in mind. I'll do these two for now. And then I'll go ahead and share this in the Slack as well. Should. Okay, I shared that in the day two thread. And then yeah, we're gonna do the so we just want to make sure that it's in the app and then its own folder for live, which is gonna be like our kind of like our utility files or whatever else that we may have. One thing I know this can get a little bit confusing with like because the editor usually does it by default in like alphabetical order. Uh so this can be a little confusing if you got your little about and then your lib and then your probably like these are supposed to be our page. This is supposed to be in reference to our page. Um or not page, our about page, and then projects is like our projects page, and then where our projects are gonna live. Um, which this can be perfectly fine, but if you find it confusing, especially if you are only using these directories for the pages, it depends, because this is one of those things where it can end up being to like your preference on how you do things. So this is like another instance. There's no one right way to do things, right? Um, you could do it the way because you might have, um, you might have like the about page, and your about page, you might want to just do components that are specifically for your about page. You could put like a folder in here for just components, right? And then access those components for the about page that are just going to be for the about page, right? Like your project might just have its own components, which it could be your project card, whatever else you might have, right? However, another way that you could do it is if you wanted to, let's say you want the pages, like you're just gonna keep your pages separated, and you want them to be in a directory for the pages. We can use that method we seen earlier. So we'll create this, and then we'll do mm, and then we could put them in here. So now we got our pages, and then putting it in the parentheses. Remember, putting it in the parentheses is going to exclude it from the route path. So we should still get the same results, right? It didn't change anything because we put the pages in path. So what it's telling is like, okay, it's gonna be part of that directory, but the pages is not part of the path itself. So it knows to skip that and then go into the about. You just want to be careful about creating conflicts, because you don't want to put another directory that's in parentheses and then put the same uh directory inside of it, because then that can create some conflicts. And then next, I don't know the default behavior. It might do the first one, but then there's also the way it builds and bundles when you go to build a project. It's just going to create some conflicts. So we want to make sure we are paying attention to those type of things. It should be unlikely to happen, but just something to be aware of. So this is one way you can do it, like if you want to keep it separated. If you don't mind them all being in the same directory, then that's also an option. But you can also even do the component, um like maintaining the components inside. There's just a like I said, there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it. It just depends on your preference, how whatever code base that you might end up working in, however they do it at the time. Um, people have their own preference. Some might swear by one way over the other and think one way is just better than the other. And, in some people's mind, there might be a right or wrong way, but, necessarily there's no right or wrong way to do these things. Um, but as you can see, we got the pages in the parentheses, and we still getting our expected, and we're still going to get our home. Okay. So we're just making sure. And then, okay. So continue on. We got our projects file set up, correct? Good. So now what we are going to do is as we spoke about previously, uh the as we spoke about previously, all components in Next by default are okay, all components that we create by default are server components. So that is something we definitely want to remember. Um that's something we definitely want to remember because everything that we do is rendered on the server side. and then it's presented to the client, right? So all the HTML, all of that is being generated on the server side, and then that completed HTML is being sent to the client to render that. So that's so like I said, so with that being said, because everything's being rendered on the server side, use effect, that's what use effect for was for, right? Use effect was monitoring when components were mounting and all that stuff. And once they were mounted, then it knew it was ready. Then it was time to go fetch, right? Because we're doing it on the server side, we are fetching that stuff on the server side, we're using it, and then we're presenting it to the browser. So we don't need a use effect for these cases. But there are still cases where we will need a use effect or use state. Um, and that's when, from components that the user is going to be interacting with, right? Like forms, we're still going to need to use state for forms to track the form state. We might need a use effect for when a form is submitted or something, or when certain values change, or when we have some asynchronous functions going on that need to be um updated once those functions are completed, like, so those are some things um that we will still use state and use effect for. But since we're using Next, we just don't need them as often because a lot of things can be handled on the server side. So you'll see that we will be using them a little bit less. Like in this case, we're going to pull in our project that we created. Uh Let me see. Well, so yeah, that's what we are going to do. And then just so we can get the idea, so we can see the server component in action. I'll go ahead and go ahead and I'll go ahead and share this now. What is happening? Oh, I need to do a code block. So I'm gonna share this code in the thread. But what we're going to do with this is we are going to we have our lib. So what we would do here is we would just go ahead and we would add our, for this one, we'll go ahead and do, so we'll do components, and then we'll actually we'll go ahead and put our lib in our components. So we have our lib components, and then we're going to add, oh no, that doesn't, we want it to be a file. We're going to do, this one is going to be, oh, what's happening? Oh, I don't know why I tried to do that. Oh, hold up. Hold up there, bud. Hold up. It just hold up. Interesting. Okay. Okay, there it goes. Well, it brought my lid back, but now it's fine. I'll redo it. My, that was very strange. I'm not sure what just happened, but my projects.ts file just disappeared. There, I'll copy it from the Slack. But we are going to go ahead and put, oh, let me do that now. So in the app, we're gonna have a component directory, so component, and then here we're gonna add the project dot tsx, which is gonna be our actual project uh component. I know some you can, if you want it to differentiate when it's gonna be a component, um you can use like a capital project, however you want. And then we're gonna move our lib into our components, just so they'll all be under there. So we have our lib component, and then so then that code that I pasted in the Slack, we just paste it here. Make sure I oh, well, yeah, but I never copied that. We could just do this. Okay. So what in the world? All right. So what we ended up doing here is we create a new components folder. We moved our lib into the components folder, and then we create a new component called projects. So project.txx. And then from here, our projects is going to basically create a grid of our projects and list them out. Are we good on that? Uh, so we can go projects. So now we want to be able to import. So now it's let's see, is that the component? Okay. Oh, because the self-reference. Oh, actually, and then we're gonna do projects. So if you start to you want to make sure you start typing it capital, and then if you start typing it, you should get the IntelliSense. You should see the projects coming from the app components projects. So that's the one we just created. So it's gonna import it for you if you do it that way. Oops. Oh, there it goes. So these are what is I need to okay. So what's happening with these is that they're being uh rendered on the server side and then being fed to the client versus being rendered directly on the client. So you'll see once we get to a point where we're making API calls again, um you'll see that API calls that are happening because you remember on our in React, when we make API calls, all our API calls you can see in the network tab on the dev tools, right? You can see if what calls were being made, if they failed, all that stuff, like what the errors was, all that good stuff. Now, when you make an API call on the server side, it's doing that all in the background. You don't see the calls in your network tools, right? Because that's being done on the server. So like when your application is being deployed, that's going to be made on the server where it's being hosted. And then so that way the browser won't be able to see anything. So if you have any yeah, calls that you're making, anything that's being what's the word I'm looking for? Um yeah, any calls that are being made, they're all so this, yeah, so if you have any sensitive data that you have to pass to like an API, right? You might not necessarily want to make that on the client side, like we spoke about when we were speaking about environment variables on Wednesday. Those things you be able to handle those what's the word? Confidentially, I guess you could say. So that way you're not exposing anything that doesn't need to be exposed because sometimes you might be using like an API key for a tool for like your super base, right? You might need to use your API key to go access your super base, but you don't want anybody just using your application to have access to your API key. And there's secure ways to do it. I mean, in which the secure way that we have seen it done before is doing it on the server side when we were working with JavaScript. Um, so we just want to keep that same theme. And then Next makes it easier for it because it does it by default. You just want to make sure that you're aware of anything that you are exposing to the client explicitly. So we want to be mindful of that. And that's why it's so helpful to be able to um have them as server components by default. Okay. So now we were able to get our projects rendered.
Can you go back to your coding? I have something broken.
Okay, no worries. We because we just Yeah, we added this to the projects page. Are you what error are you getting an error or is it just not rendering?
Yeah, I'm getting an error and let's see if it says projects is not like projects P, but I'm wondering, I don't have it listed as projects P, so that's why I'm not sure why it's giving me that error.
You say projects P?
Yeah, like that I had tried to type projects page and it's not letting projects page work.
Okay, let me see. Oh, so no, projects page is just the page function. So we shouldn't be
Right,
importing projects. Oh, that's the error it's giving you on the browser.
right.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind sharing
Let
your
me share my screen.
yeah.
Okay, so now mine is in parentheses for components or the brackets for components. And I may need to change that,
I
kind
would
of like
change.
pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't need it because we don't intend so we only do the pages because we are intending for the children inside of pages. We are
Okay.
intending on using those as routes. So we know that those children, we're gonna have children in that directory that are gonna be used as routes to render pages. So that's why we do it because we don't want that one showing up in our pages. For our components, we don't have any intentions on rendering pages from any of our children in the components, so we don't have to do it in that one.
Perfect. I can share a different screen.
So let's see.
I'm not sure how to share this one next. Um,
It should give you, where it says share, it should have you, it might be share settings.
oh, there
Uh,
we go. I think that's it. Let me go. I'll just do desktop. Okay, so this is where I'm getting these errors. It did not change, did it?
it did not.
Okay.
Let me see, actually, oh yeah, I think if you hit the share button again, it should give you,
Okay, there we go.
there it
So
goes.
this is the first one. And I don't know why it's saying project P because that's not in my coding.
That is a weird one. So it's going app pages projects page.tss project at projects page, which is that function. H1 Okay, and then is there what's the second error? Is that just that same one that's just been popping up? A negative time. Okay, yeah, then okay, then let's go back to your code. Let's see if there's anything we may or may not have to, because it doesn't have that project. It does not have that project key. We might, we may have to restart the server.
Okay.
Uh,
Let's see. Okay, give me instructions on what you want me to do to restart. Do I normally go?
so where do you have it? What the terminal that you did npm run dev in?
Let me. So I have one open for portfolio. But the one I initially started with is
Mhm.
different. Let me see if I can find it.
No worries. App components.
That is an old.
Oh, real quick. Try restarting or refreshing the page after we.
Okay.
Let's see if that changes anything real quick. Is it still the same error?
So I refresh and it's just spinning constantly.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
let's okay. Oh, okay, yeah, let's find that so we can kill that server, the
this
terminal.
one.
The one where it's already running. There should be one where e do you not have another terminal
I'm
anywhere?
trying to find it, but I'm struggling. Okay, this may be it.
That looks like it. For the Yeah, because it keeps catching like an error like that's not there. So then to hit the control C to
Oh, okay.
so
And
so
then
it could
do
be a caching issue. So what we'll go ahead and do, you see where in the application, I know you said I think you mentioned that you like to do your run your terminal in your in VS Code. So
yeah.
if you want to, you can close that out and we can just run it in VS Code.
Okay, so just exit out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just
And
remember
then
anytime like I'm showing you how like if you were like anytime we run a server, anything like that, you can always do it your preferred way. You don't have to do it the exact way I do it. So
okay.
before we run dev, we're gonna this next the in the files where the files are where that .next is up at the
Let's
top
see.
under portfolio. Right, that one.
Okay.
Because sometimes it creates a cache and it has stale data. So sometimes we just
Mm-hmm.
need to delete that outright. So just go ahead and delete the .next. There's no consequences for deleting it because it's generated every time we run npm run dev. So sometimes when you change
Okay.
something, sometimes it has like old outdated caching in there. And that's probably why it's showing that projects P because like we changed something and then instead of updating it, it just
Mm-hmm.
stuck
It kept
or
it in
whatever.
there.
Yeah. So we'll just run
Okay.
npm run dev and it's going to create a new one when you do that. See, it just immediately creates a new one and then hopefully we should have, based on what I've seen, it should be working. Did we get it? Okay.
Now I have another error that is completely different. So I'll just
Okay.
move this over here for a second.
That is a yeah, that's so we should be able to ignore that. It should still render. So just
Okay,
yeah, you should exit out of that area and it should
okay.
be. Let me see.
It works.
It's working? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Here's the,
hydration. There it goes. Nice. Perfect. Okay, cool. There you go.
all right, thank you.
Of course. But yep. Okay. So yep, it was just still caching. So yeah, if that ever happens, especially if it seems like an error that's frozen in time, I guess would be a way to describe. Like if it's like, hey, that's I don't even have that anymore. If you see like something that you don't have anymore, something that yes, it generally outdated or it has information from something else, then generally it might be stale data. So you just want to delete that .next and then like start the server. Okay. Oh, let me stop share or not stop sharing, but okay. All right. Any questions about that so far though? Up to this point? Okay. Oh. So that was just it being rendered from the server component. So like I said, everything's running on the server. And it's kind of weird because we're not going in and accessing our server. Like we don't have a server directory, right? It's just Next.js handling everything for us. But so that's just one of the cool things about working with a framework. It may take some getting used to just like having to like I said on Wednesday, we want to maintain that separation of concern, but we also want to yeah, we want to maintain that separation of concern while we're learning this because we don't have that explicit, it's not explicitly separated. We're not going from the back end files to the front end files. They're kind of almost like intermingled because Next.js is handling it for us. So we want to make sure we keep that practice of keeping back end code back end and front end code front end, even though, we're in the same um um structure. They're kind of intermingled, it seems. So we pretty much did this. Okay. We might have to come back to this. I didn't have any images set up already. So we'll come back to this next image. So just like the link, how Next.js handles the links, they also handle images. So they optimize images for you um so that you can include images and it just automatically optimizes them for you. I think it's with the images, you'll get like not an error, but like a warning. It'll say, hey, if you're using an image, you can use next image to optimize your images. So it makes them so that it uses like, um, it like kind of compresses them so that they're not as like if it's like what's the word I am looking for? If the image is a large image file, kind of compresses them so that way, because if you got a bunch of images, you don't want a bunch of large image files on your web page and then it slows down your web page, right? Especially if we're doing things on the server as well. Um, this um is putting additional strain on your server. So remember, like the server is going to be referencing where the application is hosted. So wherever we deploy our application, that's where it's considered hosted at. So like and it's going to be on the server. So the server is, I know we discussed it in the past, but the server is where your application is on the provider's physical computer, right? They have their, think of servers are basically computers that are, they have their physical computers that we use. They're high power computers, which are has way more processing power than our computer has. And a lot of times, depending on where you hosting it at, is basically there's the physical servers and then there's the virtual allocations that those servers give you. So like you, depending on how it's set up, it's saying, hey, for your application, we're going to allow it to have this much of this physical computer, right? To that power. That's why when you like, you'll see like that's something we'll get into. Like, I'll talk about this again more in depth, so don't worry about remembering it. But you'll see like, that when you are deploying your application, they give you option. They're like, how much computing power do you want, right? Basically, it's saying how much of our compute power do you want to be able to access? And this is important to keep in mind when you are hosting an application, especially one that's going to be doing a lot of computing on the server side, like Next.js, which is server by default. That's why it's important to do this because if you a lot of times you might opt for like maybe like the allocation that's not very high, especially if you're getting like a free hosting, you don't get much allocation to begin with. So you want to be conscious of these things because let's say you go to a page and it's loading images. Well, you only have so much server allocation. You also have to consider that if more than one person is loading that same page, it's using that same allocation. So that's why it may you may there may be things that there might be components that you want the client to load so that you can use the client's resources instead of the server so it doesn't bog down your server if you have limited uh resources on your server side. So there will be times where you explicitly say, I want to use the client, and you might decide that for no other reason than you want to use the browser and you want to use the user's computer power to generate those things. Uh I'll probably share a resource. The consideration for that is because the server side is good for doing these things when you want your resources to be able to load regardless, like just in case the user doesn't have like a strong computer or they may have slow internet, right? Then you want it to render, you want all those um like if it's like if you're doing a bunch of things with images and you have to take images and like sort them, things like that. Not necessarily sorting them because that's easy for a computer to handle. But things like if you were generating images or something like that, you want to be able to handle that on the server side just in case the client is weak. But if your server is generally we I guess I would say weaker just to simplify it, but your server is weaker than what you would expect your client's computer to be, then you would want to push some of those things off on the client side. Um, and then just, I'm telling you this just because just having that general understanding is useful. Because if you know this, then if you, let's say you deploy an application and your server keeps getting bogged down, you keep getting a notification, hey, your usage is high, then you know that okay, my usage is high. What can I change to prevent that? Well, one of the things you can do is you can either you can buy more resources, right? Right, expand your resources that way. So you can say, okay, I want to be able to have more um uh CPU usage or any or whatever. Or if you don't want to buy more resources, you can say, okay, well then let me pass some of this responsibility off to the client. Let me make this a client component. Uh, this part a client component. So let me tell it to use the client when it gets to this function. So that it'll run that function on the client, and then the client may pass it back to the server after it run that intensive function, right? um kind of a spiel there, but just so you have that in your mind when you come across these, because sometimes, like let's say you're interviewing for a job, they might ask you about that. They might say, uh that might be a very basic question, and you may not have to, they just want to know you understand those type of concepts, because they're looking for some, a lot of the time they're just looking for people who, like I said in the past, who know where to go, right? You might not necessarily need to explain that, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this exactly, but you say, hey, I would look at where the load is. Is it on the server side or the client side? And then I would offset it by, putting some of the responsibility on the server. And it may be as simple as that, and just having those general understandings, because sometimes the hard part is just knowing how to get there, right? Not necessarily the tools that you are going to use to get there, because knowing that you need to get there is like a large part of the battle. And if you know that you need to get there, then you know how to figure out how to get there. Exactly. So that's something to keep in mind. So I keep reiterating these things because I don't want you to be I don't want y'all to feel pressured to try to remember everything. I just want you to know of these concepts so that you know to go how to reference them, to get back to them. I know, oh, I know there's a tool that can do this, and this is what I would do to go get that tool. Um and then what else? I think that's pretty much it. So just knowing, I just want to reiterate that that's why the next image is important, optimizing. That's why they give you that error, because it's also a self-serving feature, because they don't want you to think, if you're loading images and you're loading them, if everything is a server component and you're bogging down your server because of it, people would think, oh, well, Next.js is bulky, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of like a self-serving feature for them, is because they want to optimize it, because they don't want you to associate that bad efficiency with Next.js. So uh that's something to keep in mind. But you do want to take advantage of this where you can, because it does help. Okay, so this is the page metadata that we talked about earlier. You can also add page the metadata to specific pages. So let me show you. Just like we have it here. We got our page, we're our home page. Oh, it was in our layout. So we have it in our layout. So we got the export metadata. Uh, that thing I want to say. So React. This is the type. Yeah. So this is the interface. So all you have to do is the exports const metadata. So if we were to, let's go to our projects. If we were to export const metadata, and then uh, it's something. Okay, there it is. Title. Let's do. Oh, needs to be a string, and then Young's. Oh, I put descriptions instead of description. But it's still description. Am I missing? Hold on, let me make sure. Oh, layout. Okay. Oh, because I did it like I was going to do. So the way it was done in the example is just using Next typing system because I believe the way Next may have a like an additional uh an additional object you or yeah that you can pass through um but I don't remember that off the top of my head. But for example purposes, we should. Oh yeah. So now you see here it says projects on the projects page. But we go anywhere else where we don't override the one that's at the very top layout, it's just going to show the default. So the layout, the layout, the very top layout one that we have in there, you can consider it as a default. So if none is provided, it's going to default to that one. And then the metadata. So we did provide one in our projects page, so it overrid that one. So I was gonna do the I guess the most bottom layer one. It's gonna hit it starts at the component that you are like the page that you're going into, and then it works its way out essentially if there are none. And the very first one that it hits, it takes is I guess a way to think about it. And then this also, so if I go to about, also gives you see how the project page, like if you hold down the back button, it gives you um data so that you can uh yeah, for your back like your list of pages that you visited, it gives you the data so that way it's easier to navigate. Yeah, your navigation is easier to navigate when you're going backwards and forward. So like you can go straight back to the product, like if you for the pages that you access. So your user, it's a little bit easier for your user to track which page that they navigate, what pages that they navigated through. So that's another reason why you would use the metadata is to so it makes navigating through your pages easier. And it's also just like I said, good for search engine optimization if you need your application to be marketable, like to be searchable through Google and all that good stuff. Oh, what else? Any questions about that? No. Okay, we're good with that. Uh, so we don't have any images. I will have you. You can set up the metadata. We'll skip this checkpoint for now. Actually, yeah, because I do want to be able to show you this real quick. Um, I'll include this in there too. Let me actually add that now. Okay. I added this link to the bookmarks of our Slack. So, as portfolio examples. So, um, just to go through, I already had it open too. But this is like different developer portfolios. So these are different from this GitHub. I think so what developers do is they go into this GitHub and then they make a PR and then they just submit their own repos to this. So it's a bunch of different developers who self-submitted uh to to this GitHub. So you can access this GitHub this way. And then but you can go in and you can look at different developers portfolios and see like the different things they do. So you can also get an idea like different focuses that different developers have, right? Because some developers have like a design focus where they are focusing on just like building pages like this, right? And it's heavily design focused, right? Things like that. Uh or then some are, let's see. Some are just focused, they have like very basic pages that you can go through. And then it's also you'll get a good idea. Like you can kind of probably like notice some things that some things that you maybe improve upon, right? Like this would there are like some things that there's always things that you can improve on, but you can see like here like this is a very like basic modern web page, right? This is what a lot of people some want to see, right? Depending on the focus of the job, right? Some jobs are like function focused. They want a functional developer who's going to come in, they'll be able to develop, work on a full stack application, include features, work on a functionality. And then for like that last developer we've seen, they might want a developer who's like design focused, right? You're going in, you're creating very unique creative web pages and things like that. So you know but these are you can just go through, look at different developers. They're in no particular, well, they are in a particular order. They are in order by alphabetical order. um I'll share another link. There's another one where it's a little bit more curated. um I'll have to find it. So, I'll find it, but that one's a little bit more curated, and there, that is in like or because these are like really good uh developer profiles um that have been hand selected by some people. So this one is just people self submitting. So this is really good because you can see people, you can go through, look at different portfolios, see the ones that submitted. You can see like some that aren't necessarily the like they may not be the fastest. Like that other one, it took a second to load. And then you might see some where they're design focused. Some you might come across one that has some really cool features. Like some people like are functional focused, so they might have like little built-in applications where they shows like some cool features that they done just to show that they could include those type of things in the application. Like this one is a cool modern application. You see it loaded pretty quickly, and then this one was made with Next.js. So and then like this is like their project page. So you can just get some ideas of how like things you can do because like you can see their little cursor, they changed their pointer, right? Um, so this is not something that necessarily has to be like done and selected today. As we go along, right? You can choose like what you want your portfolio to be. Um, Yeah, you can choose what you want your portfolio to be, how you want it to be presented. You might see a feature from one portfolio that you want to include. You just want that one feature, right? It's your portfolio. It's however you want it to be. Your portfolio might change over time, so don't think like your whatever you build out now is like set in stone, right? You might decide you're this type of developer and then grow into another type of developer and your portfolio is going to change with you. So keep that in mind. Um there's no like I said, there's no like best way to do a portfolio. Um I can tell you a lot of the times starting out, you do want to keep your portfolio simple, especially as a junior developer, simple, straight to the point. Show off those projects that we did do. Um, your those projects don't necessarily have to be deployed, but showing off, giving some like um, like showing like, hey, this is what I did with this project. This is, what I implemented, things like that, showing that you are able to use like an API. You understand Next, React, things like that. That's what your projects are going to do. So just keep that in mind as you're going, and what style is going to be able to allow you to do that best for yourself, if that makes sense. Any questions about that at all? No? Okay. Well, with that, I think this would be a good point to call it. I will release the homework. This is going to be some reading. Most of the homework is going to be you working on your application, for the most part. And with that being said, I'm definitely going to be, um, more available if you have any questions or anything like that. Don't hesitate to reach out, right? That's what we're here for. If you have any questions, uh, and if I need to try be more available throughout the week, I can for sure. Um, if we what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, if we need help, just figuring things out. If you need some like general guidance, like some directions or things like that, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions you might have. Like even if it's like a it doesn't have to be about the coursework itself. It should be about the application. If you're exploring something, you're like, hey, I've been trying to figure this out and I'm not sure like, what direction to go with this. Because like, I know we have AI and it gives us is a very helpful resource, but sometimes it doesn't always point us in the best direction. And sometimes it doesn't even give us like clear answers, right? And that's where experience comes in. So take advantage of it. If you have anything that you come across, like even AI isn't clear for you, that's some of the things we can address, right? And I'm happy to address in the meantime. So feel free to reach out for anything about that. And then if we need to, I can try schedule like calls in the afternoon. If we want to help on like a little quick call, we can do that as well. So yeah, like a little quick, I think might be able to do a might be able to do like a quick Zoom or even a quick huddle, and I think yeah, we should be able to do a huddle in Slack if we need to. So whatever works, we'll be able to figure something out. Just know that I'm here for that. And don't ever feel like you're bothering me or anything like that, because that's what we're here for. Don't feel like you need to figure out anything by yourself. If you have anything whatsoever that you need help with, don't hesitate to reach out. Even if it to you seems very simple and it feels like something you should be able to figure out, come reach out because that's how you grow. And a lot of people have been where you've been with that. So, and that's what I'm here for, is to answer those type of questions. So take advantage of it. But with that, if you don't have any questions, y'all have a good rest of your weekend. And then let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be releasing the homework here shortly. All right. Bye
Thank you.
Thank
bye.
you.
Of course. Bye bye.
Bye.